Hey pros, Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. So today's video is 3 reasons why your high porosity or even medium porosity hair is feeling so weak. So before we get started, I want you guys to go ahead. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And then, of course, if you are one of those where you've been here, you're an Elite Hair Care Pro, I want you guys to comment down below and tell me how long have you been a part of the Elite Hair Care Pro team. Comment, comment, comment. All right, so let's talk about high porosity hair, medium porosity hair. They're not the same, but they're right next to each other on the scale. So you have low porosity, medium porosity, high porosity. In this case, yesterday we did a video on low porosity hair and why your hair feels so dry. So it's only right that we come over and we do the same thing for medium/high porosity hair and give you some pro tips to help assist you with these 3 reasons that we're going to talk about today. So number 1, the first reason why your high porosity hair might be so weak. You're focusing too much on moisture. A lot of you don't know the characteristics of high porosity hair. A lot of you feel that high porosity hair just means damage, damage, damage. And it also feels that it's always dehydrated and you need to add more moisture, more moisture, more moisture, when really you need the opposite. High porosity hair does not lack in moisture. Why? Because high porosity or medium porosity hair, I'm using both, okay? So when you guys hear me say high, I'm also talking about medium. High porosity hair is one of those things where it absorbs any and everything that it touches, but it expels it all at the same time. So I want you guys to think of the shingles on a bad roof, okay? And the reason why I say a bad roof is because high porosity hair, the actual cuticle layer that you can see, well, not necessarily see with the naked eye, you can see it under a microscope. The outer layer, which is the cuticle layer, it looks like a roof that needs repairing because the shingles, they sit out, they sit up, they kind of don't lay flat. It's never closed. So the cuticle is always absorbing, absorbing, absorbing. Well, if it's always absorbing, naturally your body pushes out its own hydrants, its own oils, right? So if your body's already pushing out its own oils, high porosity hair can only absorb what it's touching, what it's receiving. And then it doesn't hold on to it because guess what? The flaps or shingles on that roof is still wide open. So everything that comes in literally goes out. How you fix this is you have to strengthen the cuticle layer. And a lot of you are not strengthening, or you're strengthening, but you're not strengthening on a consistent basis. So with high porosity and medium porosity hair, strengthening really needs to be a high priority on your list of hair care priorities. So let's talk about strengthening in its entirety because some of you are very confused as what strengthening means. Strengthening does not just mean protein, 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 protein. That is not strengthening. There are 2 different forms of strengthening or 2 different ways that you're able to strengthen your medium or high porosity hair. The first way, of course, is yes, our Repair RX protein treatment. Yes, that is a full-on professional strength protein treatment. But that does not mean that you're going to do a protein every single wash day. Too much of something is not always good. So no different from my low porosity family, if you are continuously moisture, 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 but you're not trying to balance out, then all of a sudden you go into what we call moisture overload. Well, for my medium and high porosity people, this is the same thing for you, but on the strengthening scale. If you keep giving that hair protein, 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 protein in its raw form, like we talk about with the Repair RX, then you are going to have what we call protein overload. And protein overload leads to dehydration, shedding, breakage. So what I always recommend with medium and high porosity hair is to do what we call a like a scale. I won't say spectrum scale, a scale. If you have 4 wash days, that is 1 wash day every 2 weeks. So that's an 8-week scale. 3 out of those 4 weeks, you're going to do what we call a silk protein. A silk protein, a silk or a strengthening conditioner. You can also use that word, strengthening conditioners. The strengthening conditioners that we have for our medium and high porosity people, B7, the hair mask, B7, the conditioner, hair repair and restore conditioner. These are great silk proteins or strengthening conditioners that are not raw format of protein, okay? So you don't always need the raw protein. You do need to get a conditioner that is going to give you more of an equal balance of moisture and strength, like the B7, like the hair repair and restore. Then on that fourth wash day, which you can drop your protein wash day in any one of these 8 wash days, you will then use our Repair RX, which is a raw form protein treatment. Now, here's a thing that I kind of figured with high porosity hair. Most people who are high porosity, they're typically chemically processed. You have a relaxer, you have a texturizer, you did a high lift color that changed the porosity of your hair. Typically, it's a chemically processed person, meaning your hair has been chemically processed of some sort, okay? If that is you, then you are going to follow through with tips and tricks for medium and high porosity hair. You're going to follow through with the regimen the same way. So your goal is to strengthen a little more than moisturize. That really is kind of strengthening in a nutshell. When you kind of figure that out and you understand that, you'll start noticing your hair gives you better results. You'll start noticing that you shed less. You start noticing that your hair has more shine. It has more luster, because high porosity hair typically is not always so shiny. It's typically always very frizzy. Like, that's kind of like the biggest complaint. And the cuticle layer is typically very flat. But every person is going to be different. Just I want you guys to follow through with understanding that you need more strength than anything else. All right. Number 2, the second reason why your hair, well, your medium/high porosity hair might feel so weak. You are literally overdoing the protective styles. A lot of you try to avoid your own actual hair care, and this is not just on the high porosity, medium porosity. This is on low porosity hair too. A lot of you think that being chemically processed is for the weak, okay? And the reason why I'm using chemically processed, because like I said just a few seconds ago, most people who are medium and high porosity, they are chemically processed. Some are not, but most people are. So if we have to do a percentage, I'd say at least 80% of you are chemically processed in some form, which is why your hair is high porosity. But if you really think about it, if you are going to do a chemical service to your high porosity or medium porosity hair, and follow it up with, oh, I'm going to have sew-ins, I'm going to get a lot of lace wigs, I'm going to get braids, I'm going to get crochets. You want to get a lot of these long-term styles so that you don't have to mess with your hair. You're really hurting yourself more than helping. Anyone who has high porosity or even medium porosity hair, I really don't recommend that you keep a style in for more than 3 weeks, because at that point, that hair becomes dehydrated. You are already at the threshold of near dehydration because the cuticle layer is always open. So you want to kind of limit your exposure to long-term styles. And I can I can attest to this, because what I always noticed was whenever I would get sew-ins, I used to love sew-ins, you guys, okay? So I had one side of my head shaved, and then I would get a sew-in for the rest of my head. I'd have 28-inch hair, layers, whatever. But one thing that I did notice is whenever I took my hair down out of a long-term style, which was anything over 3 weeks, I would shed actually more than I was supposed to naturally shed. I felt like I lost a lot of my density, but I, yes, gained length, but I lost density because the shedding was over excessive. And that is another reason why chemically processed hair, usually, like I said, high porosity or low or medium porosity, doesn't like long-term styles. It likes to be cared for. It likes to be on a specific regimen, meaning your wash day is every 10 to 14 days. You're deep conditioning it. You're giving it enough deep conditioner, but not too much. You're getting your trims. Very important. You're getting your trims. You're following through and being consistent and being intentful or purposeful on your hair care. Most people with high porosity hair, how you achieve success with high porosity hair is being consistent and intentful in your hair care, because you know that of all the porosities, if you're high porosity, you have the highest probability of shedding more than someone with low porosity. Okay, so that is number 2 on the scale as to why your medium/high porosity hair might be so weak. And number 3, and this one is going to have a definite pro tip in there. Number 3, you are not closing the cuticle layer during your wash day. A lot of you don't even know that you're supposed to do that. A lot of you just think that it's just a wash day. It's just nothing. This is nothing. I'm just washing my hair. Yeah, it's something. It's actually very important, to be quite honest. So number 3 is one of those where this is more technique based, and it's something that you can fix really, really quickly, really easily. Whenever you do your wash day, so let's say today, I'll give you an example. You did your Elite Clarify to cleanse the hair and the scalp. You followed it up with the, let me choose one. Okay, you followed it up with the B7 Beyond shampoo. So you did a B7 Beyond, which is the biotin and volumizing shampoo system. From there, you decided to use the B7 conditioner as your deep conditioner. You should be deep conditioning if you're high porosity. When you use the B7 conditioner, you put yourself on put a processing cap on. You went in the dryer for about 7 minutes to allow that deep conditioner to really do exactly what it's supposed to do, but you didn't overdo it because you don't want to go into moisture overload and make the hair heavy. You went to your sink, and now is the time when you had to rinse that hair. And you rinse the hair with hot water or warm water. And that's a no. High porosity and medium porosity hair actually needs a cold water rinse after the conditioning phase. It's super important because you want to close the cuticle so that it can retain all of the work that you've done on your entire wash day. A lot of you neglect that cold water rinse because it's uncomfortable, or because you just don't feel like cold water, should touch your scalp or your skin. Or you just feel like, okay, it doesn't matter. The temperature of the water doesn't matter. It really, really does, you guys. It really, really does. If you're a baker, anyone who bakes bread will understand this concept. When you are baking bread and you are going to bloom your yeast, there is a big difference in using hot water to bloom your yeast and cold water to bloom your yeast. So this is why I say, yes, the temperature of the water matters even in your hair care, because the temperature of the water can quickly change the dynamic of what you're doing, okay? So like I said, I just like to use that analogy because people who do bake bread, they understand the difference that water temperature actually matters. So the same thing in your hair. Water temperature actually does matter, especially after the conditioner phase, because this is your chance to close the cuticle. Even though it's temporary, this is your chance to close the cuticle so that your hair can retain and remember this consistency, this intentfulness that you've done by trying to make sure that you are giving your hair optimal care and you're giving it what it really needs, okay? So here's a pro tip that you can also utilize here and there in your wash day. You don't want to do this every single wash day, but you can utilize this here and there in your wash day. You can use apple cider vinegar and water and do a apple cider vinegar rinse on your hair after you condition. Now, how do you do that? I know you're sitting here like, well, wait, apple cider vinegar, doesn't that dry me out more? Absolutely, it does. It does. But this is why I said we're going to do a diluted solution of apple cider vinegar and do an apple cider vinegar rinse. So what you're going to do is you're going to take we'll just say a cupful. We'll say you're going to take a cupful of apple cider vinegar, and you're going to take another cup and a half of water. You're going to put them in a bottle, shake them up, mix them together. The reason why I said a cup and a half of water, or even up to 2 cups of water, is because, yes, apple cider vinegar can be drying. It is still a vinegar, But apple cider vinegar helps to lower the pH. So once it lowers the pH, it will help to close the cuticle. It'll improve your moisture and your strength retention, and it will add shine to the hair. Now, this is not something that you're going to do every wash day. This is something that you can do here and there to help improve the integrity of your hair. Why I don't recommend you doing this every wash day is because it can be a little drying over time. So if you do decide to do an apple cider vinegar rinse on your hair, which the water that you're using to do the rinse should also be cold, you'll follow it up with either the B7 conditioner, you can use B7 mask, or even a hair repair conditioner, just to rehydrate the hair really quickly by putting it on and rinsing it off with cool water so that you don't run that risk of having hard hair or dehydrated hair. But the purpose is to close the cuticle, close the cuticle, close the cuticle, so that your hair can retain all of the goodness that you've put in, all the work that you've done, and also add more shine to that hair. So I know you guys are like, okay, we need more. We need more. I need more tips because this is going to help me. This is going to help me to understand my hair. Well, the good thing is we have created a video guide for medium and high porosity hair where we go a lot more in depth on how to care for your medium and high porosity hair, what products you need, the regimen, really the regimen, which is the formula to all of this. Pro tips, understanding your medium and high porosity hair, what it entails, what are characteristics, that kind of thing. So we have a new video guide on our website at elitehaircareusa.com. I will link it down in the description box below. For those of you that have no clue what your porosity is, I will also link the video guide on doing a porosity test to teach you how to test your porosity in 5 different ways so that you can now understand what your hair porosity is and what it needs. Outside of that, you guys, if you ever have a situation where you just don't know what to do, you're just kind of like confused, join us on one of our hair care Q&As so that I can assist you as best possible. I typically try to do hair care Q&As here and there, or I'll drop a thing, or I'll drop a comment and say, hey, comment your hair care questions below, and I'll do my best to assist you and get you on the right track. But I appreciate you guys for watching today's video. If you like this video, go check out all of my other videos. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, like, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Peace.